Welcome to Tale Virtue, where every story touches the heart and inspires the soul. Join us on a journey of wisdom, kindness, and timeless life lessons, because one story can change everything.
It was a bright morning in the city of Riverdale, where birds chirped around the old oak trees and people rushed toward their daily routines. Among them was David Parker, a 22-year-old young man with dreams bigger than the sky. David was talented, a tech genius, a creative thinker, but he had one major flaw. He wanted shortcuts in life. Hard work, for him, was something old-fashioned. He believed success could be achieved by smart tricks and little lies. He lived with his widowed mother, Grace Parker, a kind-hearted woman who always reminded him, "Son, never let greed decide your path. What you gain unfairly will cost you more than you can imagine." David would smile and say, "Mom, don't worry, I know what I'm doing." But in truth, he didn't. David wanted to become rich fast. He joined a startup run by Michael, a businessman known for quick profits. Michael liked David's sharp mind and offered him a deal to manipulate company data to attract investors. "It's not really lying, David," Michael said. "It's business strategy." David hesitated, but greed whispered in his ear, "It's just numbers. Everyone does it." And so, he did it. He created fake projections showing massive profits the company never earned. Investors came in, money flowed like water, and David finally felt powerful. He bought a car, expensive clothes, and started ignoring his mother's advice. Grace noticed the change and said softly, "David, success built on lies never stays." But David shrugged it off. "Mom, you'll see. I'm going to make us rich." Months later, the bubble burst. One of the investors discovered the fraud. The company collapsed overnight, and Michael disappeared, leaving David to face the consequences. David was arrested for fraud and data manipulation. His name appeared in every newspaper. When his mother came to the court, she didn't shout or cry. She just said, "I told you, son. Truth always wins, even if it destroys lies slowly." David was sentenced to 2 years in prison. In prison, David met Ethan, an old man who had been there for 15 years. Ethan was calm, wise, and spent his time reading and writing. One day, Ethan asked, "What brought you here, young man?" David replied bitterly, "Trusting the wrong people." Ethan smiled. "No, it's trusting the wrong version of yourself." That one line hit David like a hammer. For the first time, he looked at his reflection and felt shame, not for being caught, but for being lost. Ethan became his mentor. He taught him discipline, patience, and honesty. He said, "Life gives everyone a second chance, but you have to prove you deserve it." David started teaching other prisoners basic computer skills. Slowly, he earned respect. 2 years later, when he was released, he was no longer the same man who entered those gates. David returned home. His mother welcomed him with open arms, tears in her eyes. "You've come back, my son. That's all I ever wanted." David started small. He opened a small computer training center in his garage, naming it Grace Tech Institute, after his mother. His first student was a 14-year-old poor boy named Sam, who couldn't afford a fee. David taught him for free. Years passed. The small center became a large academy. Hundreds of students learned and found jobs through David's training. His honesty and dedication made him a respected figure in the city. But deep down, he always remembered his past as a reminder, not a regret. One day, a large company approached David with a proposal. They wanted him to handle a project worth millions. The only catch? They wanted him to adjust some reports to avoid taxes. It was the same temptation again. David looked at the contract, remembering his old mistakes. He smiled and said, "Thank you for the offer, but my business runs on truth now. You can take your millions elsewhere." The company left. His staff looked disappointed, but David said, "If we lose money for being honest, we still win." Years later, Grace grew old and ill. On her hospital bed, she held David's hand and whispered, "I'm proud of you, my son. Promise me one thing. Keep teaching people the value of honesty." Tears rolled down David's face. "I promise, Mom, I'll make the world remember that truth is still powerful." She smiled and closed her eyes, peacefully. That day, David made a vow. He started a national campaign called the Truth Movement, visiting schools and universities, sharing his life story, telling young people that failure is not falling down, it's staying down. 20 years later, Grace Tech Institute became one of the most respected learning centers in the country. Thousands of successful professionals credited their success to David's teachings. One day, an old man named Sam, the same boy David once taught for free, came to meet him. He was now the CEO of a tech company. "Sir," Sam said, "I came to return what you gave me: knowledge, honesty, and a second chance. You changed my life." David smiled. "No, Sam, you changed your own life. I just showed you the way." He looked up at the framed picture of his mother on the wall. Beneath it were the words, "Truth may walk slowly, but it never loses its way." In his final days, David wrote a letter, the last promise, to his students. "I once believed success meant money and fame. I learned that real success is peace of mind, the kind that only honesty can bring. You may fail, people may laugh, but never trade your truth for temporary comfort. Because in the end, the world forgets your achievements, but remembers your values." When David passed away, thousands attended his funeral. His story was taught at schools as an example of redemption, truth, and perseverance. Moral of the story? Life will always test your integrity. You may fall, you may lose, but never lose yourself. Because one honest heart can change the world, just like David Parker did. The end.